You ever wish you had a single key, just one principle that could unlock mastery over everything else in your life? It sounds like something out of a myth, right? But it's actually a question a king posed to the Buddha thousands of years ago. And today, we're going to dive into an ancient text to uncover the answer he got.
So, our source for all this is the Sutra of the Victorious Heavenly King on the Perfection of Wisdom. It's basically a recorded conversation between a really powerful king and the Buddha, and it tackles one of the most practical and honestly profound questions you could ever ask.
The king's question really boils down to this. Is there a single practice, just one, that if you truly master it, lets you master all other positive qualities? Not 100 different habits to juggle, just one. What would that even be?
Now, to really get the weight of this question, you have to appreciate the setting. I mean, this was not some private chat. This was a full-blown cosmic event.
The text describes this absolutely incredible scene. You've got tens of thousands of enlightened beings, bodhisattvas who've traveled from other universes, gods, celestial guardians, dragon kings. It's literally a who's who of the entire cosmic hierarchy. The place was so packed there was no space left between them. Everyone was there because they knew something huge was about to go down.
And into this massive, silent assembly steps the victorious heavenly king. He kneels down and asks this incredibly direct, powerful question. He's looking for the ultimate life hack, right? The root that feeds every single branch on the tree of virtue. What is the one thing that makes everything else click?
You can just imagine the scene. The whole crowd, filled with these beings of immense wisdom, just waits for the answer. And the Buddha, he doesn't hesitate. He has a very clear, very direct response. He says the one practice, the single key, is Prajñāpāramitā. This one concept, he explains, is what unlocks and perfects all the others. But, okay, what is that?
So, Prajñāpāramitā is a Sanskrit term, and it translates to the perfection of wisdom. But we have to be really clear here. This is not about being book smart or knowing a bunch of facts. It's a deep, penetrating insight into the fundamental nature of reality itself. Think of it like the rich soil from which every other good quality grows.
And this is where you really see how it works. You can be generous, sure, but with wisdom, your generosity becomes perfect because you see there's no real separation between you, the thing you're giving, and the person receiving it. You can be patient, but with wisdom, you're not just gritting your teeth through something hard. You endure it with a deep understanding of what it is. Wisdom is like the secret ingredient that turns good intentions into genuine perfection.
Now, to make this idea, which is pretty abstract, feel really concrete, the Buddha uses a series of brilliant elemental metaphors. So let's explore how he builds this concept up, starting with earth and water.
First, he compares this perfection of wisdom to the earth. It makes total sense, right? Just like the earth is the stable ground for everything to grow, plants, trees, you name it, wisdom is the ground for all good qualities to pop up. And just like the earth doesn't get arrogant when beautiful flowers grow on it, or upset when trash is dumped on it, this wisdom stays completely unshaken by praise or blame.
Okay, the next metaphor is water. The Buddha says wisdom is like water because, well, it cleanses the mind of all the gunk, the impurities like anger and greed. It nourishes all the good stuff, just like water flows down to nurture life. And maybe most importantly, it quenches that deep spiritual thirst, that craving for meaning, that worldly things just can't seem to satisfy.
The Buddha keeps going, shifting from those foundational elements of earth and water to the qualities of light and purity. This is where it gets really beautiful.
So here, wisdom is compared to the sun. Just as the sun's light just shatters physical darkness, this wisdom shatters the inner darkness of ignorance and confusion. It lets us see reality clearly, as it is. And just like sunlight makes a lotus flower open up and bloom, wisdom allows our own inner potential to blossom. The sutra says that when you encounter this wisdom, you know the dawn of enlightenment is just around the corner.
And that brings us to one of the most famous symbols in all of Buddhism, the lotus. Think about it. A lotus grows up through muddy, murky water. But its flower opens up above the surface, perfectly clean, completely unstained by the mud it came from. The Buddhist says a person with wisdom is exactly like this. They live in the messy, complicated, muddy world, but they aren't stained by it. They can engage with everything without being corrupted by it.
So all of these beautiful metaphors, earth, water, sun, lotus, they're all pointing to a single, really radical shift in how we see things. So what is the actual philosophical insight at the heart of all this wisdom?
Throughout the sutra, this one phrase gets repeated over and over and over.
无二无别自性离故.
This is the engine of the entire teaching. It translates to without duality, without difference, because its self-nature is empty. This is the core reason why all of this works.
So what on earth does that actually mean? Well, in the simplest terms, it's the insight that nothing exists all by itself. Everything is radically interconnected. The whole idea of a separate, isolated me over here and a separate world over there, that's the illusion.
The perfection of wisdom is seeing this truth directly. It's seeing that every single thing, you, me, a tree, a thought, doesn't have a fixed, separate, independent core. Everything arises because of everything else. And when you truly see this, the very foundation of greed and hatred and ego, that whole idea of a self you have to protect and promote, it just starts to dissolve. And that is the freedom it offers.
And this is exactly why it's the master practice. It's not some idea you just believe in. It's a reality you perceive directly. It's a complete rewiring of how you experience yourself and the world around you. It's the shift from seeing a world of separate things to seeing one seamless, interconnected whole.
So the real question the sutra leaves us with is this. What would change in our own lives if we could truly see the world and ourselves through this lens of wisdom? If, like that lotus, we could live fully engaged in the messy world, but remain completely unstained by it? What might that actually look like for you?